He's not particularly fast, his dribbling is nothing special, and his shooting technique can look a bit weird. And despite all that, Thomas Müller is one of the most successful players ever. Here is his story, from underdog to the top of the football world.
Wie kann es sein, dass der so gut ist? Weil wenn man ihn anschaut, denkt man, das ist ein Kreisligaspieler.
Thomas Müller was born in 1989 and grew up in the quiet village Pel, 15 kilometers away from Munich. When he was just 4 years old, his cousin took him to a football training, and even though he was younger and smaller than the other kids, he could still keep up well. The highlight of his young football career was in the 1998-99 season. He scored 120 goals in one season. And this did not go unnoticed, and when he was 10 years old, he moved to the youth team of his favorite club, FC Bayern Munich. He played well and went through all of the youth teams there. A highlight was the 2007-2008 season when he scored 18 goals in 26 games for the U19 team. And do you know who noticed that? Head coach of the first team, Jürgen Klinsmann. He invited him to the preparation games for the new season in 2008. And then on August 15th, 2008, the big moment. He was substituted on in the Bundesliga game against Hamburg. However, he did not leave a lasting impression and was sent back to the second team. Scored 15 goals in 32 games there and was allowed to play again in the first league team at the end of the season. A very special day was on March 10, 2009. Champions League round of 16 against Sporting Lisbon. And in the 72nd minute, Müller was substituted in and he assisted a goal and scored the 7-1 in the 90th minute.
Oh, wonderful! Simply wonderful!
What a moment. At the beginning of the 2009-2010 season, Müller received his first professional contract and there was a new coach in Munich, Louis van Gaal. And with only 28 minutes of first league football experience, Müller became a first-team player. Van Gaal had great confidence in him, and even though there were other top stars like Robben or Ribéry, Van Gaal said, "Müller always plays." And Müller repaid this trust with goals. In this season, he played in every Bundesliga game and scored 19 goals across 52 games. And then his greatest success. He won the Bundesliga and the German Cup for the first time. But just a few days later, the biggest disappointment of his life. It's May 22nd, 2010, Champions League final in Madrid, Bayern Munich against Inter Milan. But in the 35th minute, the shock. Milito with the 1-0, and in the 70th minute, Milito struck again. Inter Milan became Champions League winners, and a sad Thomas Müller had to watch. But just a few weeks after this setback, another insane moment for the young Müller. He was invited to the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. And in the opening match against Australia, this happened.
Possibilities for Müller!
He scored his first goal for Germany and assisted another one.
Müller and Podolski score!
Germany became first in its group, and in the round of 16, a banger. England versus Germany. And here too, he played outstandingly. He assisted a goal and scored 2.
Lots of space here for Müller!
Germany won 4-1 and moved to the quarterfinals. There, they faced one of the favorites, Argentina. And that was a very special game. A few months before, Müller had made his debut for the German national team in a friendly match against Argentina. However, there was a funny moment at the press conference afterwards. Diego Maradona, the coach of Argentina back then, complained that some unknown player was sitting next to him and left the room. Müller was confused, and only when Thomas was finished, Maradona came back. Müller still remembered this when he played in the quarterfinals and avenged himself in the 3rd minute.
By Schweinsteiger, it's a great ball in, it's 1-0!
Germany won 4-0, and the answer of the Argentine sports newspaper Ole, Diego. The boy's name is Müller. But this game also had a tragic moment. In the 35th minute, Müller received his second yellow card in the tournament and was not allowed to play in the semi-final. Germany lost, but won the match for 3rd place, in which Müller scored his 5th goal.
And Müller has his 5th!
At just 20 years old, he became the top scorer of the World Cup and was awarded the title as the best young player. And he won the hearts not only through his goals, but also through his friendly nature.
Meine beiden Omas und mein Opa grüßen, das ist schon lange mal überfällig.
In the next season, Müller again played in all 34 Bundesliga games and scored 19 goals. But overall, the season was less successful. They finished the Bundesliga season in 3rd place. They failed in the German Cup semi-final and were kicked out of the Champions League in the round of 16 against Inter Milan. Then, in the 2011-2012 season, a new coach, Jupp Heynckes. But this season as well was marked by highs and lows. He played every single Bundesliga game again, but didn't score a single goal from September to February. In addition, Bayern were defeated again in the Bundesliga by Dortmund, but they wanted revenge in the German Cup final. Müller wanted to prove that they can win against Dortmund, but then Dortmund won the game 5-2.
Lewandowski hat sehr viel Platz, Lewandowski!
A disgrace for Bayern. Bayern hoped to make up for this defeat on May 19, 2012, because they played in the Champions League final against Chelsea in their own stadium. It was a hard-fought game, and Bayern had the better chances. Still 0-0. We are already in the 83rd minute. Müller with a header. A few minutes later, he was substituted out, and everything looked like a victory. In the 88th minute, Didier Drogba scored, and all of Munich couldn't believe it. But hey, the game wasn't over yet. Extra time. And then this. Drogba with a foul. Penalty.
It's saved!
Müller had to watch as Robben missed. The game went into penalty shootout, and Müller could no longer help his team. Bayern lost the final in their own stadium, 3 times second place in that season. In 2012-2013, Müller and Bayern wanted to prove to everyone that they could also become first. Already on the first matchday, Bayern took the lead in the Bundesliga with a win against Kräuter Fürth, and they stayed on top until the end of the season. They became champions with 91 points. Dortmund became second with a 25-point difference. Bayern marched again to the German Cup final and also won. And also in the Champions League, they played outstanding. They beat Juventus in the quarterfinals, they beat Barcelona in the semifinals, first 4-0 and then 3-0. Müller scored in both games. Again, they made it to the final, and this time the opponent was none other than the team that had humiliated them a year before, Dortmund. Müller played from the start. It was a hard-fought game, but then in the 60th minute,
Turned in by Mandzukic.
Bayern with the lead. But in the 68th minute, Dortmund equalized.
And he scores impeccably. 1-1.
And then in the 89th minute,
Well, Robin is there.
Arjen Robben, the one who had missed the penalty the previous year, scored the winning goal. Bayern and Müller won the Champions League. They achieved the treble.
A 5th time, this is their time.
The following year, there was a surprise at Bayern. Jupp Heynckes had retired, and Müller's new coach, Pep Guardiola. Müller was often used as a substitute in Pep's first season, but scored more goals than the years before, a total of 26 during that season. Bayern again won the Bundesliga and the German Cup, but had to admit defeat to Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-finals. Nevertheless, the year 2014 was to become a very special one for Müller. World Cup 2014 in Brazil. 2 years earlier, Germany was kicked out in the semi-finals of the Euro 2012. Now the team around Müller wanted to prove what they were capable of. The first group game was against Portugal, and in the 12th minute, Germany took the lead by, who else could it be, Thomas Müller. He scored twice more in the game, and Germany started the tournament with a 4-0 win. Müller scored another goal against the US, and Germany finished first in the group. After winning against Algeria and France, they marched to the semi-finals, where they faced one of the favorites, Brazil. Müller with a 1-0, and Germany didn't stop and won 7-1. One of the most legendary games ever. And then the World Cup final against Argentina and superstar Messi. There were good chances on both sides, but no goal was scored. Extra time. And then in the 113th minute, Germany were World Cup champions. And Müller had again scored 5 goals in a World Cup. In the next 4 years, he won the Bundesliga 4 times and the German Cup twice. He consistently delivered good performances, except for the time under coach Ancelotti, where he had a crisis and there were even rumors about a transfer. But Ancelotti didn't stay long, and an old friend came back to Bayern, Jupp Heynckes, and under him Müller blossomed again and scored numerous goals. But then the setback. World Cup 2018 in Russia. 2 years earlier, Müller had lost with Germany in the semi-finals of the Euro 2016. Now, the team wanted to show that they could defend the World Cup title. But Germany lost its first game against Mexico and barely managed to win against Sweden.
A victory here. Kroos will go for it and score!
In the third game, they had to win against South Korea to advance.
Song Heung-min, 2-0.
South Korea scored 2 goals, and the impossible had happened. Germany, the defending champion, finished last in their group. Müller was devastated. But hey, he was only 29 years old and wanted to prove at the next Euro that he and Germany still were a great team. But then in 2019, the shock. National coach Jogi Löw announced that he was planning not to use Boateng, Hummels and Müller anymore. Müller was disappointed, but said he was always ready to play for Germany again if needed. In the 2018-2019 season, he again won the Bundesliga and the German Cup, just like in the 2019-2020 season. And that year, Bayern played another insane season in the Champions League. In the quarterfinals, they beat Barcelona 8-2. Müller scored 2 goals. In the semifinals, they won against Lyon, and then the final. And they won it against PSG with 1-0. Müller was back on top. In the next 3 seasons, he again won the Bundesliga every single time, and due to his good performances, he was recalled to the national team in 2021. At the Euro, he played in all 4 games, but the German team was eliminated in the round of 16 against England. Also after Müller had missed this chance. And well, he also played at the World Cup 2022 in Qatar, and we all know how that ended.
Touch there from
Germany was eliminated again in the group stage, but Thomas still hasn't had enough and proves that at the age of 34 he can still be an important part of Bayern and the national team.
Müller stops it. Müller! Oh my God, what a goal!
Thomas Müller, an insane player who was often underestimated because of his strange-looking style of play. He's a player who always gives everything for the team, who has remained down to earth, he's always up for a joke, and measured by trophies, he's the most successful footballer that Germany ever had.